Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I try to tell y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Welcome back to Swim Lessons, a podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we just went on a terrific run. Took a few days, did some travel, wrapped up some podcasts, and about 2 weeks ago, if you were in the state of North Dakota, you got to witness what I felt was history. Second-year head coach, Velva head coach, that is, Matt Weidler, brought his team to the state title and won it. And it usually takes a lot more than 2 years to get to that spot. So I reached out to Matt. We sat down at the Velva High School, talked about the season, talked about his journey, filling in for a legendary coach who had 10 state titles. So we filled in for a guy with 10 state titles, head coach Larry Sandy, and just the way that Coach Weidler handles himself, tells the story, was amazing. And I greatly appreciate his time. And it's fun when you get to talk to people like this because you leave the interview enthused. I feel determined, and it was just it was a great time. So I appreciate Velva High School and Coach allowing me to come in and conduct this interview, and it was a lot of fun for me, and to hear how a guy who's only been the head coach for 2 years win a state title, it was quite amazing. But speaking of amazing stuff, we got to talk about the people who made today possible, and that's our sponsors. The first one, the great and powerful PSP Network. They're starting up their schedule of boys and girls basketball, hockey as well for boys and girls in this great state of North Dakota. And PSP Network, it's game day. They've been promoting local student athletes for a very long time, and they're getting into the heart of the good stuff. This winter, they're going to have a lot of basketball games, a lot of hockey games, so make sure you check out the schedule of their events on their website. That's psp.network, or on YouTube. On YouTube, make sure you give them a follow, subscribe to their channel. That's at PSP Network. Nick Holberg and his crew do such a great job, and it makes, if you can't make a game that's in Bismarck and you live in Minot, you want to watch it, but it's snowy, tune in. They're going to be right there, and Nick's got a plethora of great announcers that handle the reins for him as well. So make sure you check out one of our more premier sponsors, PSP Network. And next, oh man, I went to this place a little while ago. It was a lot of fun, great atmosphere, and that's River's Edge Bar and Grill. They're known for offering the best happy hour in town. Ooh, that's a win. They provide unbeatable deals, another win. And hey, they got a lively atmosphere. That's a nail in the coffin. Guests can also enjoy a variety of entertaining activities, including bingo, trivia, and the very popular Name That Tune. Come down to River's Edge for great drinks, great food, and great fun. Appreciate River's Edge. Next is BSN Sports, and since 1972, BSN Sports has helped area sports teams look their best. As they strive for their goals and dreams, they provide apparel, uniforms, and equipment for teams in nearly every sport. Local service with a national reach, that is BSN Sports. Contact your local BSN Sports representative for more information. BSN Sports is a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. And hey, do you like to eat well? I know I do. And somebody that can help you eat well, and if you're in the cattle business, make sure you check them out. They're doing a lot of cool things, especially on their website, but that's Glosso Angus. Glosso Angus, a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. They're your premier source for registered Black Angus cattle since 1973. Glosso Angus cattle showcase dominance, durability, and docility, and are built to thrive on the northern plains. Check them out. That's Glosso, Glasoe, Angus.com. And Fancy Panda is a independently owned design studio that specializes in branding, logo design, marketing, and they focus on adding value into your business to be as successful as possible. Deliberately distinctive design. Get fancy with Fancy Panda. Appreciate Fancy Panda. And last but not least, Game Day Media, more than a game. Your leader in live video sports coverage in Northwest North Dakota. At Game Day Media, our goal is to expose, support, and promote the best athletes that North Dakota has to offer. Subscribe to our channel at Game Day Media ND on YouTube. Find us on Facebook at Game Day Media for schedules, quick links to games, stats, and make sure you enable alerts so you can see what they've got for an upcoming event, and pretty much everything you need to follow your favorite student athlete. That's right there at Game Day Media. Appreciate our sponsors, and make sure you like, subscribe to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Would be a big help. We're making we have a lot of momentum right now, so it's a good feeling. But what a fun interview this was. I now give you the state champion of the Velva Aggies, Matt Weidler. Thanks for doing this, man. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me on.
I gotta ask, how has the week been since you got back from Fargo?
A little bit more relaxing.
Yeah.
I've slept a little bit better. You're not scrambling. A lot of times in between classes, it's checking on this or a practice schedule, things like that. So, there's stuff to do still. Equipment hand, turning stuff in, getting stuff ready for the banquet, but a little bit more relaxing.
The town of Velva, ever since I've been young, Larry Sandy, your head coach, it's kind of a city of champions, if you will. I was just talking to your boys' head coach, and he talked about that a little bit, but you went to high school here. You were a part of that. How does it feel to not only be a part of this community, but also part of the city of champions, if you will? Yeah,
it's really cool. Like just kind of leading up into the week before the championship game, I got some texts from old classmates or alumni and, seeing people yelling at the game. Like, it was really cool just to see the people that have played, the past players just kind of still invested. They were part of some championships, a lot of them. And, just it was fun just to get another one, and then for this group too, it's like that's the biggest thing is trying to get one for these kids that have worked really hard and, they can now say they are, state champions. So, it's fun and, it's a goal with every team is to play in the Fargo Dome, and this one wasn't any different.
One of those kids, Ben Shep, I watched the game on WDAY. Fantastic player. Like, just screams off the TV like this kid knows the game.
Yep.
What's it like to coach a kid like Ben?
Well, it's really fun. Like I was a quarterback coach too.
Oh, nice. So you knew him really well.
So that was me saying, Ben, what do we need? What do you want? Right. No, he's a really good kid, really hard worker. Kind of lives and breathes football, and he's worked really hard. I think ever since like middle school, he would do stuff with Coach Rudolph, former Minot State coach, and at UND. Yeah. So he was working with Paul two times a week, kind of all year round. Yeah. So I credit a lot of like his development as a player to Paul, just the footwork and the the technique that comes with the fundamental stuff. And then he just kind of he loves to watch film, he wanted to meet all the time just to go through different things. So, he put himself in position to succeed just with how he's worked and become so knowledgeable with the game.
PSP put out a video that I even got a little emotional watching with the wrench kid.
Yeah.
After the game, I mean, the kid right after you guys won state was just so happy, so enthused. And you don't see that a lot with high school kids. And I mean, tell me a little bit about this kid, because I'm just watching the video and I'm getting emotional for him. I mean, he's crying. He's like, "Oh, we won state. It means a lot for our city." Like, tell us a little bit about this kid.
Yeah. So, even after the game, like when I got in there late, like he was waiting for me in the hallway, just gave me a big old hug. And that's what it's about. When he came over as a, freshman, not really understanding the game, like we didn't know where to play him. We had him scout team, running back, linebacker, offensive line, basically anywhere except for quarterback, and, by the time he was like a sophomore, like, okay, we think we got to put his hand in the ground. And, and that happens a lot with kids. They it just kind of clicks when they become maybe a sophomore going into junior year, like physically their bodies change. And then they start understanding, their heads may be swimming with all the information that's coming, technique. And like for him, it just kind of clicked last year. And it's usually a good sign. He practices so hard to where
Give us an example.
Well, every rep, he's just nonstop, like just the motor.
Yeah.
Right. So you kind of notice midway through and we're like, we got to get him on the field here defensively. And, and he did a lot of really good things for us. And then this past year, we're in fall camp and we're trying to run some stuff. And I'm thinking, what in the world? Like, are we struggling up front right now? Ask Coach Bart's offensive line coach, or is Evan just being a dude? Yeah. He's like, it's Evan right now. So I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, we can work on that. So he just works really hard. He just asks questions. And I think kind of came out of his shell even a little bit more there. He asked a lot of questions on just different things he was seeing or what he wanted, what we wanted him to do. And, but his motor, he just plays so hard. His leverage, and I think that helps. He started wrestling a couple years ago, just understanding his leverage there, within maybe block destruction, on the defensive line. But his emotion, like that's what it's all about. Like this is being able to win a championship, and he was unreal on Friday. Like, for me, it's awesome just to see that, and all the work he's done and paying his dues, so to speak, like has paid off.
Yeah, 1,000%. Well, before we get too deep in the championship run, I want you to take us back a little bit, because like I mentioned at the top, how you played here, you played under Coach Sandy. Coach Sandy's a big part. Take us to when you're a freshman, you're putting the pads on. Coach Sandy's been a big part of your life coming up to this, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Take us to what you're thinking, and you're like, okay, I want to be a football player. I want to learn from Coach Sandy. I want to make Velva great.
Yeah, so like growing up, Coach Sandy lives basically right next to me. Like he's our neighbor. Dude. So he'd go walking by, and he's pretty, Mr. Sandy's just kind of keep to himself. And like we'd be in the yard playing. It's like, here he comes. We got to make a play. We're going to be playing for him in a couple years. So like always just trying to make the right impression. Then getting the opportunity, and Mr. Sandy was kind of a straight shooter. Like he'd tell you how it is. And I can remember getting my butt chewed a couple times as a freshman. Like, and for me, it's like, all right, like that's what's expected, Then as a sophomore, so 97, the team won it. So then my sophomore year, we went and won the title that year. We had it's pretty similar to like this crew, a lot of seniors. And then, that was the first year we went to a team camp at Dickinson State.
Ooh.
And kind of we put in a new offense that year.
What was the new offense?
Basically the wing T.
Okay.
Like throughout the 90s, you're going to find everybody in I formation. And we went to the wing T, and just a lot of misdirection. Used it's like running the spread, but you're running the football just to find ways to get different guys the ball. Had a lot of success there. Won it again my junior year.
What were you playing? What position in those 2 years?
Like fullback, running back spot out of there. Yeah.
A lot of playing time, a lot of reps.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I got a lot of playing time. My freshman year, ended up starting later in the year.
Okay.
Then I was at running back
So the backyard reps paid off.
Yep, they did. Yep, they did. Kind of getting the first kind of the run of those things, right? We lost my senior year in the semifinals to Stanley, who went on to win it. Yeah, we had a lot of battles with those guys throughout the years. Basically, throughout the whole 2000s, it was Velva and Stanley basically going at it. But like everyone just kind of bought into what Coach Sandy said. Like we didn't really question anything, but we didn't have a reason to. Like what we were doing was working, and like he just had a way. Like he was really quiet, but like when it was time to like crank it up, he just found a way to get you going.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have an example of that, like a game that you remember?
No, it's just like he was just super intense and focused on what was going on, right? So like you just kind of mimic that, right? That was, there wasn't any music in the locker room
before the
game. Like
no kidding. Could you bring your own though and listen? Okay.
Yeah. So like just kind of went that way. Like just as soon as you walked in the building, locked in, ready to go. That's kind of how he was.
Whoa.
So however you needed to get yourself ready, do it, But like he was he didn't worry about getting a guy a certain amount of touches or throwing this. Like it was just whatever we needed to do as a team to be successful that we were going to do. And I think, led to players taking ownership in what we were doing.
Wow. So take us like to when you are done playing for Velva. What does Coach Sandy say to you that kind of leads you to, hey, I might want to come back?
Yeah, so I was GA-ing at Minot State at the time, and
no kidding.
Yeah, got a call.
So you played at Minot State, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'd finished up, was GA-ing. I was going to go be a college football coach. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Got a call. Oh, it must have been about a week before school started. That job was open.
Ooh.
You want to come? I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was kind of a crazy little part too, because I think I had a day and a half, basically 2 practices with the guys before we scrimmaged that day. So it's like trying to implement like your base stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it was definitely like I still call like my teachers Mr.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
Whatever, right? Yep. So it was different, you know, calling Coach Sandy Larry eventually. Like it took me a while. But you know, he like when I came in, he's like, just rock and roll, do your thing, basically. Like he had full faith, and you know, he had questions on what we were doing defensively because I was coordinating at the time.
Oh, you were D coordinator.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, he had questions, but you know, it was he put full faith in what I was doing defensively, and I appreciate that. Like his trust that he had in me and willing to have me come back and work with him. So, you know, and then even in that 09 year, we ended up winning the title that year. We went back to back in 9 and 10 too. Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Oh my goodness. So you must have you knew what you were doing defensively. So when you were celebrating, did you just look over at him when you finally win that first state title as a coach now for Velva and like, dude, we did it?
Well, like when you we've had some really good football players. Like, yeah. I mean, it's like for us, it's kind of sometimes try not to screw it up.
Yeah.
Put the kids in the best position they can to be successful and let them go make plays. You know, that's kind of like flashback to Friday. Like we did it, but it's like it's taken a lot of hard work, and you know, it was cool, you know, just being able to see Coach Sandy after the game. Like used to seeing him in the coach's locker room after, so it's fun just to see him upstairs. And you know,
what do you say to you?
Congratulations. That was awesome. That was awesome.
That's awesome.
No, it was, you know, we were able to visit a little bit today. Yeah. Actually, he's just in school, and just, he understands how much work goes into it. And sometimes that's this stuff outside of football.
Yeah.
When you coach in a small Class B town, you end up doing a lot of different stuff. So he just knows how exhausting it can be, but how rewarding it is too when, you know, you're doing stuff that in late November versus October.
Doing stuff behind the scenes. Yeah. Okay, so now fast forward a little bit. You know Coach Sandy's going to retire. And do you know, like, going into that season, this is probably going to be his last year?
Yeah, him and I had talked about it.
Okay.
He gave me a heads up.
Did he give a reason? Just like, I'm just kind of done, I'm old, and
yeah, I just think, I mean, anybody that's probably coached anything, there's definitely times when, like, it's a grind.
Yeah.
You know, and for football, like there's.
Hey Matt, do you mind pulling that mic a little bit closer?
It's not year round,
right?
But it kind of is, right? We don't ask too much of our kids. Like we'll get them in the weight room,
yeah,
right? But they're playing football and they're basketball and baseball, right? So we just want them to do as much as they can. But I just think, you know, and I can't speak 100% for him, but like just all the stuff outside of like Friday nights, right, can get to be a lot. So, you know, he just, for him, he just said, I think this is going to be my last one. And, you know, it was kind of a, you knew it was coming sometime. You just didn't know when.
He's not immortal. Like, yeah, you know it's coming.
Yeah.
So when that comes and that season rolls on, I remember watching this on TV. Like he wins, and that was number 10, right? His 10th state championship.
I believe it's
okay.
10.
So you guys win, awesome. But then it's like, okay, I want to interview. I want to become like what? Explain that process when you're like, okay, I want to become the next head coach, and those are some big shoes to fill, Matt. Like that's a big deal. Take us through that process.
Yeah, I mean, I never. Like I just been here for so long. Like I never, like I went in and talked to the superintendent. I'm like, I'd like the job.
Yeah.
You know, So, I mean, it wasn't a huge drawn out thing. They had a pretty good idea. You know, I think Coach Sandy had talked to him about it, but you know, having played here, having worked with Coach Sandy, I've been a part of it for so long. Like it's something that I wanted to do. You know, you don't really ever think of the championships. You do, but you don't, right? Like it's your goal. But like if you're thinking about that, like you're spending more time like on the end result versus like what you need to do to get to that point.
Wow,
so like when I like basically got the job, it's like, all right, we got to go to work. Like there's a lot of the similar things we're doing that we did with Coach Sandy, but there's just different wrinkles maybe that I put on it and just find what works best and adjust a little bit. I think that's the biggest thing with high school sports. You maybe have a system you run, but your group of kids is different every year. I mean, if you have a guy that can throw the football around, like you might throw it more, or you're built to run because you're really big up front, you know, and physical, like that's just what you do. You kind of build year to year. So like that, it's like, what can we do to maximize all the athletes we have? And that's kind of when I got the job, it's like, we got to go to work and figure out how we're going to maximize our talent.
Did you let music come in the locker room?
No.
There's still no music. That was one of the Sandy things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I let them have music after the game if they win.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if nobody, okay, that makes sense. Okay. So tell me the biggest hurdle your first year as head coach.
It's not a hurdle, but like it's just making it work with multiple different schools and communities.
Yeah.
You know, actually probably the biggest hurdle or like thing that just comes with a small town is field prep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, I just remember Coach Sandy being out there all the time and like, he didn't think anything of it. Like
it's one of those things like you talked about behind the scenes.
Yeah. Behind the scenes. And here I'm breaking down film and stuff. And he's doing that on top of cutting grass, painting and all that. Like that's probably, it just comes with the territory, but that's probably the biggest thing is trying to juggle football, your home life, you know, field prep, all those different things. Just there's a lot more on the plate when you become a head coach that I knew about but didn't know about until you started doing it.
Yeah. So your first year, remind me, how did it go? Like what, you guys didn't obviously make the state championship, but how was it?
We lost in the semifinals there last year.
Okay.
To Dickinson Trinity, who was really good.
They were good.
Yeah. They were really good. Who ran into a really, really good Kinder team in the finals. You know, we were able to score points. We struggled keeping them off, you know, and I took blame for that. You know, I was trying to so we had new coaches on staff and it just kind of happened so quick. Like I just ended up doing both, coordinating the offense and the defense.
No
it was too much. I knew it.
Dude, I bet.
And I knew that going into this season, like I can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Brock Nagel ended up coordinating the defense this year and like he was awesome. It was great.
How'd you find him?
So he ended up coming out here to teach last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he came, he's from Linton originally and was at Bishop Ryan. So he took a position out here and
that's awesome.
Coaches wrestling and
yeah,
he had been coaching football, but there too. But like for me, like I'd been on defense my whole life and I thought it's just best for the program that if I'm calling the plays offensively and sometimes when you do that too, it helps like being on the defensive side. Like, so what bothers me when a team does something, right? Like what can we do? Like, so when I think of calling offense, like what should give a defense fit? Like that's how you look at it. And I think that helped Brock too, because he'd called offense. Now he's on the defensive side. Like how can we adjust to certain things? So I think it's benefited us and getting him over there and coordinating that was what, probably the biggest thing that helped us this year as far as our staff and team.
So now this past summer, you realize, okay, we lost in semis. We're going to bring in some new coaches. I'm going to just be the offensive guy, or defensive guy. What was different for you coming into this season that you're like, was there a certain pressure that you're like, okay, I want to go to state, but also I want to like take it one game at a time? What was your mindset?
The biggest pressure, like I don't really get too worked up with, like for me is just like putting pressure on to get our kids the opportunity to be there. Like that's like I wanted, because I've been there and done that, like as a player and coach, and just you don't forget it, right? Yeah. You still talk to your buddies, come and you remember this, and like I want them to be able to do that. You know, we did have to change some things. You know, we kind of restructured what we were doing defensively just to maximize all our athletes. Mm-hmm. You know, we put Reggie Bruner and Trayson Eigelhart closer to the line of scrimmage just because they're so strong and athletic, like getting them closer to the ball, finding ways to play as many guys as we can. It just kind of worked out that way on both sides of the ball. So, you know, that was probably the biggest thing this summer is just finding ways to maximize our talent that we have, you know, and then letting myself focus more on offense and Brock on the defensive side of the ball.
So you go through the year, you know, you're, okay, we're pretty good. We're catching a rhythm here. Take me into the semifinals. What's going through your mind? And you're like, okay, we got a shot here, but we got to take care of business. What's going on in the semis?
Yeah, I often think the hardest thing is winning that game.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. Like before we hopped on, there's been so many good teams.
Yeah.
Like West Hope, they make it that far, run into somebody tough, you against Dickinson Trinity, and then you don't make it.
Yeah.
It's almost a bigger heartbreak. It's tough to lose a state championship game, but it's really tough to know you're that close.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back. So it was a semifinal loss. We had a double overtime loss like in the quarterfinals. That was a tough one in like 21. Lost in the semis in like 20. Like we'd lost in the semis quite a few times. So like just getting out of that game, like that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And just so your kids get the opportunity. Like if we can get into the championship, like it's like a chip in a chair in poker, right? You got a chance. You know, so that week playing Langdon too, like they're coached really well. They got really good athletes, like just finding a way to slow them down. And I like our kids, especially like in the back half, our secondary linebackers made a lot of really good like individual plays, like saving what maybe would be a touchdown or a big play. You know, and then we were able to score.
Yeah.
You know, kind of get them behind in the scoreboard a little bit to where maybe you got to throw the ball more. And
right. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
If you can make them feel the pressure a little bit.
And then we're able to get our athletes, you know, pinning their ears back a little bit and getting after it. But we hit a lot of explosive plays that game, you know, and Reggie had a pick six.
Yeah.
And, you know, a couple big touchdowns throwing and catching. Yeah, that was a fun one, but like that's the biggest thing, getting them there.
Okay, so you get to Fargo. Take me to your mindset. Take me to when you're getting off the bus, walking into the Fargo Dome. What's going through your mind? The city of Velva's there. Everybody's there. You're like, okay, I got a chance for my first lone state championship without Coach Sandy to kind of get my name in the record books and get this team that I love into the record books as well. What's your thought?
Well, it's just, for me, like trying to keep the kids relaxed. Like that was my first thought.
Were they pretty amped up?
No, they weren't. But you just, like they were pretty relaxed that morning. They're up early. You know, 9 o'clock game. We're eating at 5:15. But
you were up at 5:15.
Yeah, most were eating we had one group eating at 5:15 and one at like 5:45.
Did you practice that? Like,
no.
Did you make them wake up? No. So this is the first time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't think it was necessary to get up and practice early.
Right.
You know, like for our guys, some of them, they're getting up at 5:30 during fall camp. We'll practice at 7 or 8 in the morning. So it's kind of, like I told them, I said, you're used to this. Like you did it 8 weeks ago, 9, whatever. Now it's just, I guess there's a state championship on the line. Like
we're playing in the dome a little bit, but not at the park anymore.
I thought in 22, our guys were maybe a little bit too amped up going into that one. And we tried to talk to them, but like just spending extra energy. Mm-hmm. You're just so jacked up, ready to go. You spend so much energy, and then once it's kickoff, it's a football game, so just trying to keep them relaxed. Like we cut down some of our warm up time.
Really?
Yep.
So what did you eliminate with warm-ups?
We essentially just eliminated like 6 minutes of warm-up.
Okay.
We just went out a little bit later, just
Yeah.
to save on the bodies. You know, and then once the game gets kicked off, it's just another game. Like, you just don't think about it. You know, there's plays being made, but making sure the kids like get a intercept or you give up a touchdown early or whatever, like there's still 3 quarters to go.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of goofy things that can happen, or you can go make play, or we pick them off. Well, we still got to go now try and score, right? So like, you have not done anything other than got the ball back, right? Trying to just keep them level-headed in that way. You know, and that's what, in those big games, you need to have players make plays. And that's what ended up happening. We had a lot of big plays made by individuals, you know, maybe on the takeaways, but I just thought defensively we were really good, like in our assignments.
Yeah.
You know, things you maybe don't see other than a coach, like the run fits or the spilling of a D lineman. Like, kid didn't make a play, but he did exactly what he's supposed to do, is negate a big play.
Right.
So kind of getting off topic, but like just keeping our kids level-headed and understand it's like one play at a time. I know it's kind of cliche, but it literally is one play at a time, good or bad, like just doing your job better than the guy that's supposed to be doing his job.
Do you have a pregame mantra that you yourself go through?
Yeah, I mean, I like to get to the school early. I mean, there's stuff you got to do, but I like to get to the school early and just kind of go through, you know, the script, maybe, so to speak, or things that are you know, a lot of times I'll watch a little bit of special teams, just a refresher. I think that
can change a game. Special teams is huge.
Yeah. And it's, you know, a lot of times it's, you know, the punting, right? You get backed up. You might not get a touchdown, but if you know, like I picture our first series Friday, like we're starting on the 1 yard line, you know, 1 or 2 yard line, and able to get the ball out to the 45, like changing the field that way. No, but just get there early, look at a few things, and then usually I'll just walk out to the field by myself just to get my thoughts. And
that's awesome. Dude, I mean this by a compliment when I say this to you, but you remind me a lot of Bill Belichick. Dude, we're moving on. I love it and I appreciate it, but this has been a lot of fun. It's like I can just read that you're very day to day, like play by play, which is a good thing. I mean, you just won state. That's how it should be.
Yeah, like I want our kids to be excited when they make a play.
Yeah,
right. And then when I talk to them, like if we score a touchdown, whether it's a 70-yard touchdown pass or a 70-yard touchdown run, like get in the end zone to go celebrate everybody, because somebody had to block, right? Somebody had to hand you the ball, throw you the ball, snap you the ball, whatever. Like go in there and celebrate, like enjoy it, and then just flip the page to the next one, you know? And I don't know whether our kids I mean, they seem to just kind of live in the moment, right? But like, enjoy it, but no, like next play, whatever it is, next play. So I don't know. I like to say I'm probably a little bit more energetic than Belichick, but
I meant that as a compliment.
I know, but like it's just life's too short not to have fun,
right?
But knowing like
we got business taken. Yeah,
you guys still locked in a little bit.
What do you say to Ben before you go on the field? Do you guys have a moment there? Because I mean, he's I'm just being honest, like one of the best players I've ever watched. Like, what do you say to him? Like, buddy, let's go. Or would you guys have an exchange at all during the game that you can share? Pretty. No, I don't say too much to him. Like he's locked in. Just tell him, hey, have fun, let her go. You know what I mean? Does he play pretty relaxed?
Yeah. You know, especially as you get older, I think you maybe he was a little bit more tight, so to speak. If you're a freshman, you know, starting as a freshman, like you're probably going to be a little bit tighter, but like he's so well prepared. Like
no moment's not too big or nothing like that.
No, like he's confident in his ability and he's confident in his teammates. Like, you know, play loose, have fun.
Where's he gonna? Is he gonna play college football?
He's gonna play. It's undecided yet.
It's undecided.
Yeah, somebody's gonna get a good one though.
Dude, I mean, what are we like? Look, just watching him during.
Yeah.
I didn't watch too many of your games, but I watched like the semis and I mean, man, God,
yeah,
you got to start getting on the phone if you like this kid.
Yeah,
I'd love to see him and Walker team up at NDSU. That would be.
Yeah, he's still pretty wide open where he's going to go, but I know somebody's going to get a really good football player, really good kid too.
What's the future of Velva Aggie football look like?
I think it looks really good. Like for us, like the kids love to play the game. You know, we've got really good numbers in our youth program. You know, as long as the kids are willing to keep working in the weight room, you know, they're very, like we have a very selfless group too. Like they just, like,
isn't that a big help?
Yeah,
it's a huge help.
It is. You know, the community support's great. The parental support's great. But like the kids are playing for each other too. Like they understand that. And I think that kind of, you know, a lot of them like in the weight room or the off season work, like success kind of breeds success. Like that's what they want, you know. You know, we had a group of kids, like I get some of them in the weight room and in school, but there's some that aren't, like they're already in the weight room.
Wow.
This week in the mornings, like starting to work.
Well, they know what it takes.
Yeah.
They know what it takes.
Yeah.
Like that's what separates those semifinal games is like who worked out in the summer. You want to win in the fall and winter, you got to work out in the summer.
Yeah, and they're involved in so many different sports too.
Right.
Like so
I was going to ask you, what's your thoughts on that? Because I've talked to a lot of coaches on this podcast and there's so many, basketball gets picked on a lot.
Yeah.
Not picked on, but it's like, if you want to be good at basketball, you got to play it year round. And they're in all these leagues and parents are paying tens of thousands of dollars to go play in California, Nevada. They come back. Like, dude, what, like, honestly, give me an honest opinion of that rather than just playing, you know, going out for track, which is big, playing baseball, playing football. And what's your thoughts?
Like you're a small town. You
have to go
you
out.
You have to play as many sports as you can. But like, if you're playing basketball, let's say basketball, like the time you're probably at the free throw line when it matters most, like how are you going to react if you've been in that moment? Like, you know,
wow, that's a good way to put it.
You're going to fold under pressure, or are you confident you're going to make it, right? So that translates to football. Like you're down a score, so what? We'll go get one back, right? Or you're a baseball player and you're on the mound. Like it's just you. Guy hits a home run. How do you react? Like if you're playing different sports, like wrestling, you're just by yourself out there. You ain't got nobody subbing you out.
Yeah.
It's, you find ways to, you know, be competitive. Like when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Like how do you react in different situations? And, you know, even the body movements that come with like wrestling to basketball, they're completely different movements.
Right.
You know, the hand-eye coordination, like in basketball or baseball, whatever, like translates to football, you know?
So you're for the playing all sports?
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You know, I was in multiple and I played and trying to get my kids just do as many different things as you can. You know, now not everybody is meant to be a football player or basketball or whatever, and that's okay. But like trying as hard as you can to be involved in all those things. And then as you get older, you know, you might go one way or the other, but you know, a vast majority of our kids are playing more than one sport, some two, some three, some trying to do 4 or 5. Hank's trying to do his football, baseball, basketball, wrestling, track, golf. Like Hank can do everything. Like,
Heck yeah.
So it's good for our kids and it's good for all our programs too.
I heard from a close source that your wife beats you in fantasy football a lot.
Yeah, she does. That's fact.
But something I like to ask coaches is, what's family? What's family like? How's it feel to be a dad? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, like like with my family, like we just grew up around sports. Like my immediate family, like with my parents and my brothers, like that's all we did. My dad would cut a football field in the yard every fall.
Oh, that's
like,
awesome. Oh
yeah, kids playing in there. You know, supported us and everything, hauling us around to different stuff. You know, so I credit like our love for like athletics from my parents, you know, and that's, you know, kind of throughout whether it's my cousins, whoever, we've all been very involved in athletics. And, but then, you know, being able to be a dad and, you know, have your kids at the games with you, or, you know, like my Peyton, my one son's a 7th grader. So he's, I don't remember how old he was. He really wanted to be a water boy, and he was still a little young yet. He wanted to go play with all his friends. So I don't know what I don't remember saying anything to him, but my dad asked him how it was today, or how was being a water boy. He's not very good. My dad fired me. So I don't, must have been 3rd grader or something. Yeah. Now he's all in it. So it's cool to have him on the sideline with me. You know, he's always trying to listen, or he's asking questions. Like, he loves football. And
what position is he right now?
He's played quarterback, whether he sticks there. You know, he asks a lot of questions and wants to know what's this player, what's this guy doing, or whatever. So that's really cool. And, you know, I've got twins that are 7. So.
Oh, yeah, twins.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they're all in on it. They want to know when they can be the water boy. They're not ready yet, but they get to come out on the field after the games. But
it's got to be a good feeling too for your wife to see this all happening, and I'm sure being a football coach, or being a coach's wife is tough.
It is.
I mean,
yeah, she's been a rock star. I mean, there's times you don't get home till 7 at night, and you really, you know, I'm usually got something to eat when I get home, and doing all this stuff with the kids or hauling them around. Like they're you know, and I do my best to be there as much as you can. Like, don't get me wrong, but there's just times you're not there, and she's doing it all. So I'm just thankful for her, and she's been very supportive in my career, and she understands just what it means to me to coach. And I've coached multiple different things, and just you know, she knows it's like being a parent to a bunch of other kids, and she gets that. And, you know, so, you know, I'm just thankful to have her on my side.
What, your NFL team is the 49ers?
Yeah.
What's going to happen with them this year?
I don't know. I got to get everybody healthy.
Yeah, they've been, the injury bugs killed them.
Like, it's nonstop. Somebody's hurt all the time.
Debo, Kittle, Purdy's they're going to Lambeau without Purdy, it sounds like.
Ayuk's out. I mean, they've.
It's rough.
I mean, I think if they're healthy, they win the Super Bowl.
Eventually. You right away when you saw Mike Quimby, you're like, Chief Sano. No, I'm like, yeah.
No, I don't. The bad part is, like, I talk a little trash during school to all these kids, and it's like, I can't say anything right now.
Yeah.
Packers fans this week were chirping me, and I'm like, I got nothing for you. I don't know.
Yeah. What did you think of the coin toss last year in the Super Bowl against Kansas City when they elected to forgo? Did it bug you when you're watching it? Were you like, no?
I'm like, a little bit maybe, but then it's like, yeah, they know more than me.
If you score, it's over.
Yeah. Like, so. Like, that's a tough situation to be. I mean, for them, they got to live or die with their decision, right? Like, somebody else asked me that. I'm like, I don't know. I just coach high school football.
What would you have done?
I don't know. Like, when you can get the football and if you can score, like.
That's what I was thinking. Because right away, everybody jumped on Shanahan. And I'm like, but if they score, it's over. Yeah. Like, I get it where they didn't score. So now it's like, oh, you know, Mahomes is coming on the field. But I was kind of the same train. Yeah. Like, then you got to, is it in an NFL game, or are the rules the same for high school? Like, do you have if for me, like, in that level, I'm probably taking the football and trying to go score and not given the opportunity. Control your own destiny with your offense. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, listen, dude, we've already been at this for 40 minutes. Greatly appreciate your time. Swim Lessons, Coach, is about overcoming tough times. You've mentioned throughout your career playing, coaching, some of those circumstances, but leave us with something you say when you're in that dark room trying to figure out which way to go, and maybe somebody can make it applicable to their life. Stay the course is really, like, you know, there's a lot of good things and there can be a lot of negative things. And for me, it's just, especially when, you know, the negative things are out there, like, stay positive. You know, for me, it's like, I always like never seek, you know, or take criticism from something or someone, whatever it is, if you want, you know, take advice from them. Right. So
you know, in the bad times, like for me, it's just hanging out with my kids. You know, if something's going wrong, my family, you know, my wife and kids. But, you know, for me, it's just never take criticism maybe from someone you want to take advice from. So like even when I need advice or I got something, I'm going to find somebody I trust the most and just
Like a
get their
Coach
thoughts
Sandy.
on it. Yep, like a Coach Sandy or just your trusted friends that, you know you have your best interests. Not whatever it is. I'm not talking just coaching, but you know, find your most trusted and people you want, you know, to listen and get a good advice from and talk to them.
Man, that's huge, especially with social media these days.
Yeah.
That's huge. Speaking of social media, give us a plug so people can follow Aggie football and maybe even yourself.
Yeah, you know, I do. I don't even know what my Twitter. I got Twitter. I get all my news.
Yeah, that's
maybe
where
at Coach Weidler, I think. You know, I was just thinking, looking at everybody else, they got all these Twitter accounts. I think I need to get something like that, you know, for Aggie football.
Yeah, I'd follow.
I just don't want to run it.
Right, maybe one of these kids will.
Yeah,
You never know.
yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So no, I like that. Social media is great. Like
Yeah.
it's really great. Like information, and it's just a way like for this just to get information out on our
Yeah.
kids, like Facebook and all that. Like, you know, we didn't have it years ago, and it's great. You know, the photos and the videos and stuff you can put out there on your student athletes and family and stuff. So, you know, I'm not on too much of it, but people send me stuff and show me. I think it's really good.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate the time, man, and congratulations on a big year, and thank you again for the time today.
You bet. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, that's a wrap, Coach.